This is Phil.
And Lou.
From the Capes and Lunatics podcast.
And we just want to wish you, Ray Ray, a happy episode 269.
Yes, Ray, congratulations. And your prize, you get to watch The Batman this weekend.
Yes, welcome back, Looney listeners. You are listening to Into the Night, the Moon Knight podcast. This is episode 269, and we are back with a live stream. You are with your two high priests, Khonshu. I'm one of them, slightly dark, Ray, and on the other side of the world, Rebecca.
That's why it's light hair.
Yeah, exactly. Welcome back, Rebecca. It feels like just yesterday.
It feels like only yesterday we last chatted, but I didn't see you then. So I've got a question for you before we start. When, in the opening credits for the podcast, will you include one of the new run?
Yes, well...
How hard is it to edit? Because it's the first time I've looked at them more in more detail. And it's amazing, by the way. I'm very impressed by the amount of work that must have gone into it.
Well, that all has to go towards CMK7, a.k.a. Chris Kelly. A big shout-out to you, Chris. He's lent his talent to the show,
Wow.
Rebecca.
Well,
totally.
I do pay attention usually, but when it starts up, I'm often getting things like making sure I've got the comic open and the notes. So, but this time I was like really ready. So I was like looking at it and going, it's really cool that it's like a cover from each of the runs. So no, if it's not Ray doing it, then no pressure. Like take your time.
Well, Rebecca, since you have raised it, we're just going to have to throw it out to Chris. Chris, I'm going to
I'm so sorry.
Ask if you can. Hopefully it's not too much problems, but it would be fantastic to include Jed MacKay's run there. Again, no pressure, Chris, of course. I'm just joshing. But anyway, listeners, we're here back for a Moonshine. We were here just earlier in the week to celebrate DID Awareness Day. I've received plenty of positive feedback, Rebecca, from it already. Actually, I'm going to go off script here a little. I'm going to go down to our Nightlines, and I just copied it in. It's from YouTube, and it is from CMK7, Chris Kelly.
Perfect.
And he comments about our last episode, which just released yesterday. Another amazing chat, guys. Terrific job helping with getting the awareness out there for this very real condition. The posters look very awesome for the Disney Plus show. I'm really thinking of picking them up. Anyone else? That's a good point.
I hope they make them available. Yeah, I've got one of them as the background on my phone. So.
Oh, yeah, me too.
The equivalent of picking them up.
Yeah, me too. Exactly. On my iPad. I think the white noise segment is about to explode with the show's marketing really ramping up. I'll agree as well. And we still have a full month to go yet. So glad to hear you're considering shifting the live stream time. 5:30 a.m. is a little tough over here in the States. Fair enough, Chris.
But we will mix it up a bit.
We will definitely mix it up, but I don't know about you, Rebecca. I'm loving this live stream thing. Do you know?
I've settled into it. I've got over my abject horror of anyone seeing what I look like. Now I just don't care.
Fine, it's perfectly fine, Rebecca.
I now know there's available a nice white mask with a scar down. So.
And speaking of apparel, I'm having a look at your T-shirt there, Rebecca, making sure it
Transformers
adheres
today.
to okay, good. Adheres to the guidelines.
Yeah, it's a Rodimus star for anyone who's read Transformers.
Nice.
So.
Look, I didn't realise. I actually had Rodimus when I was young. I didn't know who he was. And then I saw a picture of him.
Yeah.
It's like, I had him when I was little. That was so cool. But yeah, very cool. Cool character. Yeah. Cool shirt. Sorry, Loonies, we digress. A live stream for all the new comic book releases. So tonight, of course, or very early this morning, it's Moon Knight issue 9 by Jed MacKay, Alessandro Cappuccio, and Rachelle Rosenberg. It's our usual reaction kind of episode on the issue, as well as listener feedback as well. It's always awesome to hear what you all have to say and think of the latest issue. So we'll get to that too. Yeah. Big shout out to our sponsors, of course, all the Patronis. Thank you so much. Thank you for all your support. also top tier Petroni's Drew Toombs and Daniel Doing for Toombs, Lurk Music, and Fringe Night, respectively. And then there's, of course, CLZ Comics by Collectors and Dreamland Comics from Illinois. Yeah. So, Rebecca, my gosh.
I know, one issue.
One issue. We're going to get into it, straight into it. And look, for those that haven't listened or haven't seen many of our reviews, what Rebecca and I will do is that we'll give you a list of the credits, availability. We'll go through a synopsis, or a bare bones, as we call it. I've scribbled something together, Rebecca, and you know what that means.
I know what that means. I get to read it sight unseen.
A sight unseen, yeah, exactly. And we'll go through then some key aspects, or just some really big points from the issue that we thought were pretty cool or bad or whatever, as well as some notes generally around writing, art, themes, characterizations, and references. And we'll cap it off with a moon rating system, all in honor of Conishu, one of the main OG hosts as well of the show. So Conishu still lives on
in the
rating system. Yes, so we are looking at Moon Knight Volume 9, Issue 9. It's called Stranger. Released March the 2nd of this year. Jed MacKay, Alessandro Cappuccio, Rachelle Rosenberg, the super team, with ample help, of course, by VC's Corey Petit and Tom Brevoort. Cover by Corey Smith and Rachelle Rosenberg. And Rebecca, can we just marvel at the cover for a second?
The cover is just incredible. Like, even down to the placement of the Moon Knight and, repeating placement of Moon Knight. It's just great.
And the logo. I just actually noticed now.
Yeah, it's really what's it called? It's just great. Yeah, the logo, the Marvel 9 upside down on an angle.
Yes, I didn't realize there were other multiple logos there behind the Moon Knight.
Yeah, it's like repeating. Great. It's like what's his name? Isha, not Isha.
Yeah, yes, Isha. Esha. Yeah, well,
yes.
Isha.
Isha.
Tiger Tiger.
It's probably Asha, but I'll say okay. I'll take that one. But yeah, it's really good.
And in no bad way or anything as well. It's great to see Corey Smith doing the covers. I mean, just because of the colouring from Rachelle Rosenberg as well, I associated it with Cappuccio. But really fine depiction of Moon Knight there on the cover. Just everything's askew. I love the back to front Moon Knight logo. They're not afraid to mix up the formula. It reminded me of, I think it was Spider-Woman 10, and it was a cover of her upside down, but they did they put the title logo at the bottom upside down as well.
Yeah.
Really cool. Those little things.
Just lovely.
And there are a couple of variants as well, one by Dan Panosian and the other by Martin Simmons. A big shout out to one of the loonies, Eduardo, there, who's looking for the Martin Simmons or Simons cover. So any loonies out there, please reach out to Eduardo if you can. And finally, availability. Look, since it's new, floppy format, of course, and
it's hard to say digital with Comixology's whole new look and feel, but
I'm cringing. Yes, but it is available.
You can buy it there.
You can buy it digitally as well. I should have just shared it. Just if you bear with me as well, just for video purposes as well. I'm just going to shoot that up onto the screen. There it is, the title, the thingamajiggies. That was the cover that we're talking about. Yeah. Now, yes, Rebecca, if you'd be so kind as to give us the bare bones.
So the bare bones, written by Ray.
Yay.
Moon Knight finds himself involved in some missing persons, only to find they all went missing in the same building and the same floor. Upon investigation, the building in question appears not to have any sixth floor on its floor plans, and Moon Knight finds the answer the hard way. There's a labyrinth on the sixth floor which captures Marc, not allowing him to leave for 4 days. He's worn down, left exhausted. He discovers the building and then He discovers that the building then tries to reach out to his mind to apparently feed off him. Surprisingly, or we should say unsurprisingly, Moon Knight's mind is more than the possessed building can handle, and it releases Moon Knight much as an animal would abandon spoiled food. It's a very delicate way of phrasing it, right? Driven to avenge its fallen victims, Moon Knight returns after a little help from Doctor Strange and Wong. Now knowing and identifying the demon possessing the building as the House of Shadows, Moon Knight strikes a bargain with it after acknowledging the similarities of ostracization that they share. Moon Knight brings Reese and Soldier to witness the birth of the new Midnight Mission before their very eyes. The House of Shadows transforms the run-down tenancy into a supernatural headquarters for Moon Knight and his congregation.
Yes. So there you go, listeners. A little snapshot, a summary of what unfolded.
What went down.
On issue 9. Very cool. Opening thing there. Look, before we go into anything, Rebecca, as well, overall thoughts on this. What did you make of issue 9? It was a bit of a
I liked
a stopgap.
it.
Yeah,
I liked it. I found myself a little bit like I couldn't quite remember where we were coming back into the story after the break with Hunter's Moon. Mm-hmm. So I was like, why is he falling out a window? And it's like, okay, yeah, I kind of remember. And but no, I liked it. It was it felt more comic of the week, but it also tied into the bigger arc and moved things along in terms of the Midnight Mission.
Yeah, I think I won't say it hurt it a little, but I think it would have been just a smidge better if Devil's Reign Moon Knight had come out when it was meant to, because this obviously happens after it, and we as readers haven't seen that yet. I mean, although we can guess what would happen, it would be nice to get things in order. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I thought it was a really fun, self-contained kind of thing. But as you say, at the same time, it kind of overlaps onto the. The greater picture. There are mentions of Zodiac. We see Rutherford Winter towards the end. That sort of stuff.
We get to check in with pretty much all the team.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
Yeah.
Apart from Hunter's Moon.
But
he's having a break.
He's having a break. I mean, he's had it tough with Scarlet, Stained Glass Scarlet.
He's also got a full-time job as a doctor, so
That's right. He's got a mission of his own, hasn't he? So a clinic at least. So, he was missing. Look, I didn't really, as much as I love Hunter's Moon, I actually didn't really remember. I didn't really...
No, I was only thinking now that I was like, are we missing anyone? It's like, no, we literally touched base with everyone. I mean, we didn't touch base with Zodiac, but he's mentioned, so.
Well, as far as, I guess, big points from this issue, as far as that goes, Rebecca, what would you like to start with? I mean, what kind of grabbed you the most?
I think you've kind of got it there. Let's go in the order you've kind of got them. Is that the House of Shadows is the new headquarters?
Yeah. I mean, this is huge, I think.
Yeah. I mean, this is... And what a deep dive again. Like, if people don't know, this House of Shadows appeared in, 3 issues.
It's crazy.
Very much like Zodiac. But this time Doctor Strange. The only reason I vaguely remember it is because the last one was with Rintra, who is going to be in the Doctor Strange film. So that's kind of interesting timing and kind of cool. So if you want to go read your previous appearances of the House of Shadows, and Doctor Strange banishes it, Rintra banishes it.
There it is. Yep.
So it's kind of interesting that it edges Moon Knight back into supernatural in more than just the people he's fighting and the company he keeps. This is the whole thing is becoming supernatural, which is great.
I love it. I think it's.
Yeah, I love it.
We haven't had. I mean, Jed MacKay has introduced this kind of aspect back again in this series, but it's just fun to see. I mean, it was teased in issue 1 where you see him fighting Frankenstein monsters and stuff, but we've pretty much had,
and he's had
vermin,
vampires, and we've got
vampires is the main, vampires is the main thing, but that's pretty much been mainly it. And then we get stuff like Zodiac, Vermin, 8-Ball. But as far as supernatural goes, it's really. I mean,
I guess we
vampires.
had Stained Glass Scarlet last issue. But this is more but this is kind of connecting us back with Marc. But it's just it's a really interesting idea, and especially that he sees the similarities with him, and it's another sign that he's kind of building this team around him. So for all that he's lost the people that we're used to him being around, he feels very much like that he feels that he can build these things, and he makes, and also that he doesn't resort to violence. I mean, he takes the thermobaric explosives. I mean, which he just has hanging around. Should we,
which is very what I expect Moon Knight to, how I expect him to.
It's how a lot of people do, and it's showing that therapy's working, perhaps. And also actually, hubris after Age of Khonshu, and it's really introducing us to who the character is now, which I like.
Yeah, I mean, you make a really good point as well. It's one of the other aspects about this, I guess, the parallels between Moon Knight and the House of Shadows. Again, I love how these sorts of things, we find them throughout Jed MacKay's run, whether it be parallels between his sessions with Dr. Sturman and what's happening outside, whether it's him and Soldier, and this time it's Moon Knight and the House of Shadows. And I've got this page up here, Rebecca, which he pretty much says, he comes to the conclusion, Moon Knight talking to the House of Shadows, but the thing is, I think I understand you now, because you and me, we're the same. I love this thing, we just keep coming back, which he mentioned a bit earlier on as well. Same as House of Shadows, it just doesn't go away, whether or not anyone wants us to. And I think that's a pretty important statement as well. The feeling that they aren't wanted,
and I think recognizing that similarity is what leads him to understand that what the House of Shadows might respond to is having a mission, because he said that previously, is that's the only thing that keeps him going, is that he feels that he has this mission from Khonshu.
Exactly. So he applies his experience and how he has approached it. He's applying that to the House of Shadows as well, which you can, around this time you can kind of see, it's not going to be blown up. Moon Knight's got something else kind of up his sleeve. And he goes on and says, I thought you were a maze at first, but that's not right. You're a house, and a house wants to be lived in, even if it's weird and alien and unwelcome. I know what it's like to not fit in, to be hated, to be unwanted. So it tells a lot about how he sees himself, and it goes back again to, issue 4, when he's on the rooftop with Tigra Tiger.
Yeah, and I think ever since that issue, really, and then he opened up to Dr. Sturman. The next issue is we see him transforming from those first 3 issues into a more confident, he's able to take a leadership role. He's not just, he's deciding, like when he says right at the end something like, just wait, children, or something, like I thought it was really sweet that he refers to them as children.
Yes, patience children.
Patience children.
But this is an awesome, again, bouncing back to the first aspect we were talking about, the House of Shadows, what I like is, this is like a one and done, so to speak, and it could really be viewed as like a throwaway, like just an adventure that he has. But I guess MacKay is always just adding something that is of significance, and for me, very much this is, we have now like a weirdo house that is the Midnight Mission, and it's
and because it's only ever been banished before and seen as an antagonist, like it's an open book. Like Jed can now do whatever he wants with this. I mean, presumably it's also like he's also made sure that it's not going to be tapping Reese and Soldier.
Oh, when it's hungry.
I wonder how they'll feed it. Things like that is intriguing. Yeah.
That is a good question.
You know what, Zodiac? I have a feeling that you might be very tasty.
This could be the grisly end of Zodiac that way. Yeah, true.
He can't feel pain, but
Oh, that's right. It just gets ingested.
He has a mind, so.
Oh, gosh, that's grisly. But yeah, really, really, I think fantastic idea. It reminds me, of course, of the Sanctum Sanctorum, and it was good to see like Wong speak with Mr. Knight. We see Doctor Strange in a flashback,
a little flashback
thing. But it was fun to see Mr. Knight just talking to Wong, and he seems visibly, I guess, tired or annoyed at Moon Knight, Mr. Knight. Like, what do you want? What is
To
it?
be fair, though, like I reckon that Wong probably is very tired of every New York superhero coming up and saying,
yeah.
"Can you help me with this?"
Yeah, yeah,
Something weird's
exactly.
happened.
Yeah, but I mean, plenty to talk about on this page. Number one, the thing that really struck me was Cappuccio's like backdrops, like the
Beautiful.
inner.
Beautiful.
Like, because I had criticized him earlier.
Like really early on, you were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I don't know if the backgrounds," and he's really just pulled it out.
These are amazing. Like just the tile floors and the inner, fittings of the Sanctum Sanctorum. We also get references here, Rebecca. I think you mentioned it as well.
Yeah, I think you've got more of them. I just mentioned Damnation because of
Yes.
the Las Vegas thing.
Yeah. I mean, so that's cool. Again, Jed MacKay acknowledging the past, which is really cool. And, I mean, you mentioned it as well before, Rebecca. House of Shadows, talk about deep cuts. February 1964, created by Stan Lee and Steve Ditko. And as you said, one of the issues, I mean, the first appearance was Strange Tales number 120. So back in the 60s, it's like one of the, it's up there with Spider-Man, as in, age and stuff, the House of Shadows. I love the idea.
I've always loved it. I'm big into buildings and cities having spirits.
Yeah.
Like, I love Jack Hawksmoor, so my authority reading coming back there. So I've always thought it's an interesting thing that isn't played around with as often as it could be.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is cool.
And one of the things, look, if we are to critique the issues, well, and I loved it. I think it was great. The idea of the premise was like this maze and labyrinth, and what I would have loved to have seen more. I know that's only got like 22 pages to be able to fill, but more of that, the feeling of, I don't know, I guess more focus on the labyrinth and the maze-like qualities itself.
I think it's interesting because it was one of those things that you go in with certain expectations from the cover and the solicit, and then again Jed's like, "Nah, we'll just that's an interesting point, but let's tell the rest of the story."
Yeah.
So I agree, and I hope that now the House of Shadows is a major player for us. We will get to see more of that. It's a bit like, I mean, it's his TARDIS.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
I mean, this again, for those on the live stream and can see, and with the video, this opening shot of this organic, like this is the first thing we see that Moon Knight's discovered that the
when
house
he
itself
realizes
is
it's
organic.
alive,
Yeah, and you get this weird kind of almost cephalopodic kind of mouth as he goes in. But then we get really, it kind of fleetingly goes through these panels about Moon Knight going and finding his way and getting worn down, physical and mental endurance. So it's pretty much summed up just in this page about the maze, which I think it would have been fun to have like explored a little bit more. But again, there's only so much page you can use. And this one here, my gosh, talk about art, true horror.
Oh, the actual paneling when he's in the maze is unbelievable.
Oh, this one, sorry,
No, go back again.
I'll go back. Couple more.
The big splash of the maze.
Oh, yeah.
That's the paneling.
Wow. And
Where it
look at
looks super fractured, and you've got all the wallpaper and the carpet.
Look at the colours as well.
Yeah, it's just everything. I mean, the colour we already know. We love everything about the colour. But I was particularly struck by how this page was put together.
Yeah. Yep. Look at the patterns on the floor,
The skeletons,
the skeletons are cool.
It's just, and each room has different wallpaper and laminate flooring kind of thing.
Yeah, so. And the idea that this is not like, the idea is not to keep you in to like kill you. Like there's not booby traps or anything. It's just there to slowly digest you.
Yeah, because it's got water, it's got shelter. You can stop and have a breather, but without food, you're going to be weak, and that's what it's going for. And of course, Marc's really isn't the brain that you want to tap into.
No, he calls it. What does he call it? He's a plutonium,
like polonium. I think polonium.
Oh, okay, yeah, his mind, and we saw this as well in. I'm going to say issue 3, was it, with Hawley, about how dangerous Marc's or Moon Knight's mind can be. So,
and you've got to remember that Jed's not saying that. Jed's established that's because it's been touched by a god, not just the DID.
No,
so
for sure.
So, I think just, so that's kind of cool because it's not just relying on, he's got DID, dangerous brain. But no, he's also established that the other thing that's up with Jed is that he's been touched by a god, so we don't know if that's the thing that's triggering the house.
I like it because it's always kind of alluded to as well. Like, I was doing a reread in the trade.
Yeah, I mean, Contagion was that was about his brain being the only one that could deal with this, and it is quite often because it's a distinguishing factor and feature for Moon Knight.
It is, and I just like how MacKay has really rounded that out. So in issue 1, Sturman coins it as superhuman menticide. It's nothing. That's what she's interested in his mind. And later on, when Moon Knight battles Hunter's Moon, he says that Khonshu gave him brain damage as well. So that's a direct effect from Khonshu. So we're seeing this supernatural or superhuman quality of his mind now.
So there's something there that is like putting off this thing, but I think it's great that this is our new headquarters. So it's fun.
I can't wait to see
what happens.
Hopefully they have an issue that focuses on it. I mean, it'd be fun just to see what it can do, but it seems quite compliant now. The House of Shadows happy to have a purpose, a mission, as you say, and again very akin to Moon Knight. We have a comment here, Rebecca, from 10th Realm. Hello, people. I really dig this series. What are your thoughts about Mr. Knight's confirmation on the Moon Knight show, Rebecca?
Well, I'm excited.
Exactly.
I think we did just discuss it a little bit when we were talking about the posters, but I think the costume's immaculate. I think it's fantastic. I can't wait to find out why the scar down the mask, the sort of hand sewn bit. I can't wait to see him put it on. I just it's not unlike we've seen the sort of hug of the bandage one going on. Is he actually have to go stop and pull on this 3-piece suit? I'm really excited.
Big zipper.
Yeah, he might. It might be like a fake 3-piece. I can't wait. I mean, every time I think about things like that, if I think about it for too long, my mind goes to there's only 6 episodes. It's gonna be I can't wait to see it. I can't wait to see how they deploy Mr. Knight versus Moon Knight. How the different where the delineation comes for the show. And I'm really excited to see it. I mean, again, I'm amazed at how open they've been with some of the costuming before the show's dropped. And I'm really excited. Who isn't? It's great, and it's a costume we all love. So.
Yeah, and we've seen Khonshu now already. I mean, that could have been potentially held back and be a surprise with the series.
But no, we've seen the full-on Khonshu. And
we've seen the full-on Khonshu, the costumes. I mean, I just wonder what the surprise is. Also, as well, I think, Rebecca, the series is going to be really different. I mean, we as fans get really excited at the likes of seeing Mr. Knight and stuff. There's a lot in there that makes this character, he's not just a guy that slips on a suit and is a Cape Crusader. So we've got, newcomers will have to deal with these 2 new costumes, and what does that mean, and how is Mr. Knight different from Moon Knight? It's really going to be interesting. And as you say, I mean, we have to be wary that there are only 6 episodes, but okay, Oscar loves it. He said, he's saying.
Well, who wouldn't love it? I mean, it's beautiful. It's it's got to be a dream to wear, compared to some of the.
Oh yeah.
If you think about some of the really uncomfy superhero suits that we've seen people have to wear over the years, actually having one that's a suit.
Yes,
it's got to be a bit of a dream,
how easy
go to
is
the
that?
toilet normally,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wasn't it Andrew Garfield or someone talking about they had to work in a something to be able to pee in that suit.
Yeah,
'cause-
and then Tom Holland said when he first took on the Spider-Man role, his mum rang up
Yeah.
Disney and Marvel and said, let him go to the toilet.
Good on you, Mum. That's
I know.
good.
You need your mum.
We just got a nice quick hello, a big shout out to Corey as well. Sister Mercy, what a fantastic issue. Yeah, we'll get to your comments for sure, Corey, don't worry. It is a good issue. And look, I just wanted to leave it on here. Again, very classic kind of horror thing with just the two red eyes and very kind of classic horror font, I think. There.
And also, I think the stance as well, right? Because that stance where you see Mark's shadow as well. It's just one of those. It just seems very Dracula, kind of. Like
Yeah.
There's just something about that whole page.
There's also like a similarity. Not to say that's necessarily connected, but there was the stance that Hunter's Moon had when he was up against Stained Glass Scarlet, and there was a nice splash of him.
I guess they're fighters, so they get into a bit fighty stance. I do like that the House of Shadows eyes, by the time he becomes the Moon Knight mission, are two moons.
Was that sorry?
I like that his eyes turn into two crescent moons when he's the Midnight Mission.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, is that okay? I didn't put that as eyes. I just thought that he put on some decals on the window.
I assume that's the House of Shadows eyes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, to have a compliant possessive demon of a building, you can't go wrong. 10th Realm as well. I love Oscar Isaac's enthusiasm about this. And as Rebecca mentioned in the previous episode, which I didn't realize, he is an executive producer as well for this. So it very much is his baby, or So very excited to see that as well. Also one of the other aspects I thought was interesting was this conversation. Let's see if I can find it with Dr. Sturman talking about trust and how.
So there's that conversation about trust. The Avengers checking in. She hadn't snitched him to the Avengers. Now she said that was out of the goodness of her heart. We all think it's because she was off with Zodiac.
Yeah, that's a whole. We don't know what's.
She was with Zodiac and
because so what would have happened? She seems to be normal now. So did Zodiac just pay her a visit?
Who knows? There's something up.
Something there that we don't know.
And she's sort of hinting maybe you don't want to be a superhero. Maybe you shouldn't be a superhero. I think it's that's. And wouldn't that cut
Marc as well? Someone that wants to make a difference. And is already feeling on the outer to be told that. She says, "I don't want to be."
I guess in part it's her job is to sort of question: Are you up to this? Do you want to be doing this?
Yeah. Because she could be insinuating that he's failing at what he's doing. Basically,
she could be, but I definitely think that Zodiac's messed with her. So this doesn't seem like how she was a couple of issues ago. Especially as she kind of hints that Tigra and Reese might not be trustworthy, and I did like the touch where he said Reese was very happy to speak to a real superhero.
Yeah, what a nice
when
little
Black Panther
dig.
gets in touch.
Yeah. But this thing about just this panel here with Mr. Knight just sitting down, saying that I trust them all, Dr. Sturman, Reese, Tigra, Soldier. We're the same. We've done bad things or have had bad things done to us, or both. That's why I opened the Midnight Mission, to protect people and to protect people from what they might become. So
and House of Shadows fits into that pattern as well.
Yep. And I was about to say that is perfect for Reese as well, because he was about to, in issue 1, about to kill her as well, but then he discovers that she's a victim of circumstance with these other vampires, so he wants to help her, and he's had a conversation with her as well about using, these afflictions, I guess you could say, that they have, and using it against what they're meant to do or what they're expected to do. So, very, very cool.
Very interesting conversation in the middle of this semi-action comic.
I always enjoy these conversations with Dr. Sturman. It's whether or not it like reflects what is happening, in the action pieces or not, but it's just really introspective, and it really does give us. It just gives you a lot more for Moon Knight. I mean, you have fans that want Moon Knight to be a street level vigilante, to do all the kind of superhero-y things, which I love as well. But you also have loonies that may like, Mr. Knight for the more cerebral aspects, and I think
it's
MacKay
really
does
nice
both.
to see character development as well. Like, all we
Yeah.
know is that we've had this, like, the Age of Khonshu stuff, the loss of all his usual associates, and it's really nice to see him sort of developing issue by issue, and a lot of it's done through these conversations.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm just going through a bit of the comic now as well. So Moon Knight, he comes back with his duffel bag full of explosives, and I love this little exchange. Reese is worried about how she's going to get paid as well.
Yeah, I mean, that is a question that still needs to be answered, is what happens to the money.
And he just says, don't worry about it. So maybe
if he says don't worry about it, I'm not going to worry about it.
He's got a stash somewhere. Who knows? But this last bit, so you're coming back, right? I always come back. That's such a kick-ass moment. I love it.
And there's, like like the number of times he's come back from death or near death. It's like it's a reasonable stance for him to take.
You could almost argue that he has that. I can't remember what the complex is, where you get overconfident, that invincibility kind of thing. That you can't die and become reckless.
I agree, but I don't think he's quite there. I just think I do think he feels a lot more confident in this issue. Mm-hmm. But I think maybe he's just accepting that he kind of has. Like previously, he seemed kind of down about the fact he always came back.
Mm.
And
true.
like we said, we've had people like made comments like there's never a punch he wouldn't run into.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for someone else it could be overconfidence, but for him it's more like he's just come to terms with it.
Yeah.
Like, and in this case he's got a mission. He knows what he's going into that house to do, and he seems pretty confident he's going to be able to achieve it, which I quite liked. Like, having everyone, even having the conversation with Dr. Sturman, which might have thrown some doubt in his head. It doesn't seem to. He's like, I know what I need to do. I'm going to go do it.
Yeah, I mean, in this instance, going back to the house is not so much. I mean, it's a bit less about him. I love the way that Jed MacKay coined it. He said, like, Moon Knight's more of a masochist rather than a sadist. He'd rather get himself hurt than than just be someone that just loves hurting people. In this instance, so he goes back to it, but I think he has that knowledge that he's like poison, as he mentioned, to this house, and it won't do anything. And as you say,
he also has to be pretty he has to be pretty certain it's not going to do anything to his friends either, which is interesting.
You're true. Oh, yeah, true. I mean, later on when it becomes the Midnight Mission, for sure. Yeah, he's got to give a lot of trust to the House of Shadows. Mm-hmm. And he's doing exactly as he says on that page, which he's done to Reese and Soldier. He's going to try to help themselves. He's just trying to. So he's going to help the house too. So, yeah, he's got a pretty powerful ally now, which I think is. And again, I think that's a major takeaway from this. Any other big aspects you want to raise or consider?
I think we've probably covered everything.
Okay.
Until we get to other people's feedback.
Mm-hmm. Well, one comment has popped in from a newcomer here. Manakis, I hope I got that right. Love this issue so much. I love how it sets up this paranoia on Zodiac's influence with the therapist, and wondering too how Marc is finding the money to fund his work. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we see Stephen later. Maybe. We haven't seen any of the identities, Rebecca.
No, we're looking forward to that. I mean, that's what I love about the issue is it's like, it's mostly this very straightforward story, but it's dropped all these like threads that we're very invested in. I mean, not so much the money, but I'm a little bit invested in that, but very invested in what's going on with Dr. Sturman and Tigra and the Avengers and
it's I don't know, it's going to be interesting. I'm actually more interested now in the money, just because it reminded me now as well of when he fought. Yeah, he fought Rampage. That guy that And he was saying, look, the Rampage was going, oh, look, I'm deleting your account. That's all gone. That's all gone. And Mark's just going, yeah, okay, whatever. So he obviously
he's
is
just not bothered.
He's not bothered, but he's also not bothered when Reese asks him this question about payment. He just goes, don't worry about it.
Maybe
so he's either
somewhere else.
yeah, or he's either highly irresponsible, puts his head in the sand. But yeah, no. So it's.
But I would imagine that the fact that it was mentioned means it's gonna come up again. Like I think.
Yeah.
It is that well written that you don't just drop that in the middle of something without going to be able to answer that question soon.
Yeah, for sure. No, absolutely. Before we get into our nightlines, Rebecca, just a couple other things for art. I guess there's this nice, again, a horror-driven, faceless, spooky people that the house
so much
conjures
great
up.
horror stuff.
It's very cool. And you get these splash pages and the horror eyes, the mission. The house has got this very startled look.
I love it. It looks like Aussie.
It looks like when when it's dinner time.
Yeah. See, look, his little eyes at the end there.
We shouldn't also forget, Rebecca, one last thing. This last page.
Yeah,
as well.
I mean, there's not a lot to say about it though. Except I note that the Daily Bugle has something about women being. What is that?
Yes, smothered.
So I guess you choose your headline. So,
but that was discussed as well before with Flint.
Yeah.
So there's something happening. Is that Rutherford Winters? Has he got some sort of doing in that? Or this could be a separate tale.
It may just be a nice. It may just be a link back to the Scarlet issue, or. Yeah. I mean, like, I've never seen a front page that looks a little quite like that, but hey.
No, exactly.
I appreciate that it was readable within a comic. So
yes. And
Rutherford, he's got a gun in his hand.
He's got a gun.
When he goes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he's heading towards a mission. I mean, we've seen this before a little with Hunter's Moon at the beginning, just stalking at the outskirts.
Yeah, I wonder
of the
if
mission.
his issues with Soldier.
Yeah.
Because they're
that would
both
be very
Hydra.
Yep. That would be, I think, the most logical. I'll go with that as well.
I'm a person of logic. It just seems strange to go in with a gun and go for Moon Knight. So I wonder if his issues with Soldier and that'll bring him into the group as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean that I can't wait. I mean, he's been teased twice now in the last two issues, so something is a coming. But of course, we've got the slightly delayed Devil's Reign Moon Knight coming up soon as well, which will be out next week. But come issue 10, who knows? Who knows how we go there? Well, Rebecca, if there are, actually, should we? Oh, we should rate this thing. Why don't we rate this thing? So having said all that and discussed all that, what would you give this?
I feel a little bit mean, but I gave it 7.5, which is in between a solid round boy and a big, beautiful yellow man. Mostly because it felt a little bit... I think exactly what you're saying. I was expecting a bit more of the maze. But having said that, I loved every bit of it. I'm like, I think when I was doing the score, I was very cognizant of the fact I keep giving 9s and 10s and 8.5s, and I think this is just a really, really good comic, but not in my kind of best ever issues. I think it probably has the best cover, however. So
it's a fantastic cover. Look, I was similar with you as well, Rebecca. I was going to give it like an 8, but then what kind of brought it down was also I couldn't remember what I gave issue 8, and I really loved that with Stained Glass Scarlet. And I was
I think that was it. I was trying to like modulate it with what we've given the rest, but it is really good. Like, and so I just feel like this is probably the lowest rated we've done. And I think some of that is us recalibrating for being in a longer run. Do you know what I mean? I think that in the beginning there was some excitement nudging our scores up a little bit. So I feel like going forward I'll be recalibrating a bit, but it's not this. I really love the issue. So.
Yeah, I mean, there's also as well, I guess, looking at at it from another angle, because we are like so invested in this run so far, and we've read 9 issues of it, and as you're saying, we're recalibrating. I wonder how this comes across a casual fan, say, of Moon Knight, who reads it as a one issue and not maybe picking up those little inner references to other things. It may come across as a bit more of a straightforward issue, but certainly I think it's got added value for the likes of the loonies that do appreciate the run and that have kind of stuck with Moon Knight for a bit longer. I think we're benefited with that as well. So so 7.5 I give it as well. So we average 7.5 loony listeners there.
Pretty easy average.
Pretty easy average. Didn't have to take out the calculator this time, Rebecca. So let's move to Night Lines. There we go. Fantastic font there. Rebecca, I mean, shall we kick off into it? We do have a fair few. Most of them came from the Facebook group, but we got one from an email as well as Instagram. So,
cool.
Do you want to hit up with the first one?
Yeah. Okay. Mario Giacomo. Sorry. I'll get it right next time. Talk about hitting the ground running or just hitting the ground. Just a few comments this time. I couldn't help but notice how the opening scene had a very hardball detective feel. Cape aside, it feels like something Sam Spade might do say, Moon Knight with a Bogart accent, it could work. He even has the required receptionist. The return of Dr. Sturman, alive and well, suggests whatever game Zodiac is playing this round is a subtle one. And we also get a hint that Tigra's secret may be coming out soon. I wonder, however, if Sturman was told by Zodiac to reveal it or if it was really accidental.
Yeah.
Great seeing Wong, although just for a second I thought it was Beta. Their relationship's a fun one. Normally I abhor crossovers, but if Jed wanted to do one with his Strange, also out this week, I would not be opposed. The House of Shadows is another deep cut, having only appeared 3 times before. Strange Tales 120, ROM 5, and Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme Annual 2. Okay. Its appearance here is consistent with the others, with the exception that Strange wore his blue cloak when he confronted it, but that's not a big issue. Random trivia, its last opponent was Rintrah, who will be appearing in the new Doctor Strange movie. Played by somebody I adore. Everyone has to love Rintrah. That's just a thing.
Who plays?
Adam Hugel, who was my pick for Captain Britain. So,
okay.
So I feel a deep sort of connection to Rintrah. But anyway, who can not love a green Minotaur?
I love him, yeah.
Yeah, you have to. Marc's solution is certainly unique, but oddly heartwarming, and neatly addresses Sturman's observation that his help brought more violence to the area. This time, he defeated the bad guy without violence. And finally, we see the esteemed Mr. Winner, but is he friend or foe? For some reason, I'm expecting the former, maybe because the latter is a bit too predictable, and Jed is predictably unpredictable. I like saying that, predictable.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, Mario, and excellent.
I agree with so
points.
many of those points, yeah.
Fantastic.
Really good.
The interesting one was at the end there, Rebecca. Friend. That's a possibility.
I would be more. I mean, I think he will be a friend. I just think the gun out is what. Because I actually, before I read it, I would have said that as well. Is that Winner, because Jed has thrown up our expectations so much, he's more likely to be a friend immediately. But I think seeing that gun in that panel has made me reconsider to maybe he's after Soldier, but he'll be friend within an issue. You know, because he helped the Daughters of the Dragon, so he's not like a full-on terrorist, evil person like the Daily Bugle made out. Yeah,
and I like the angle with Soldier. I hope. Anyway, we can't wait to see what happens.
I like that Mario brought up that Sturman had said that he'd been bringing more violence in, and then he solved something without violence. I think that's the one bit we missed. Very
cool. I think you mentioned it though. You mentioned that he didn't do it violently. Like he.
Yeah, but I didn't link it to Dr. Sturman saying this issue. Maybe because we talked about maybe you shouldn't be a superhero, but I don't think we raised the. She actually said, "Are you not just bringing more violence into these people's lives?" Mm-hmm. So that links that together. It's a great
way again of subverting our expectations. You're bringing the duffel bag of bombs and just going the other way.
I mean, he still had the duffel bag of bombs. Having said that, he's ready for violence. It's violent.
Also, it's not that long ago that Zodiac blew up the Midnight Mission, so bombs are on the mind. That at least me.
Why not?
Yeah. So thank you very much, Mario. We've got a very different comment here now from John Marsden, and he writes in and says, most boring and disappointing Moon Knight series I've ever read. Other than issue 3 with the introduction of Hunter's Moon, I found it drags on, and the story is bland. The art for Moon Knight's costume in the comic is dreadful. Not being this disappointed since opening a packet of cheese and onion crisps, and there was nothing inside but air. Oh, John, that is a bit of rotten luck. Well, I would be not just disappointed, I'd be ropeable. Don't deprive me of cheese and onion chips. I do but like I guess, everyone has their different tastes. Again, Rebecca, it's very foreign to me, I guess, what John is saying, because I am really enjoying it so much. But I have to respect that. It might not be your thing. All I can hope is that maybe Black, White, and Blood might be good for you, John.
Yeah, I hope that has something for John. I think, we were also worried about whether we'd sync in with the art for the costume, but we've gone the other way and started to love it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it drags on, but again, it's so subjective.
It is subjective, yeah.
It's really subjective. And look, it's good that he's still giving us feedback for it.
Yeah, no, fantastic. No, exactly. So thank you so much, John.
Thank you,
really,
John.
We do love all sorts of feedback. It just really colours the show and our discussions of it. So thank you so much.
And then I've got Corey Hardman.
Yep.
Another standout issue in what's been a home run of a series. I loved almost everything about this issue. The pacing was fantastic. I loved the deep cut villain, even though I had to go digging for info afterwards because that was nothing I was familiar with. My only complaint, and it's a really, really minor one, I didn't like the Crescent Moon logos on the Midnight Mission windows at the end. That just seemed a little tacky almost. But if that's all I can come up with for a complaint, that means this was great. I really don't want this run to end.
Oh,
right.
Wow.
See, I think their eyes, which I think is cute, but I agree. I actually kind of did it with the pub and went, oh, right, Blue Moon Pub, right, we're going to have moons everywhere. There's a little bit of over-egging, perhaps, but I just took it at the end of oh, look, that's reminding us it's an alive building.
Yeah. Also, as well, didn't the original Midnight Mission have a
I think it
crescent?
did. I'm not sure it had two. I think it had
not
one.
Two. Yeah,
I'm not sure. We'd have to go back. God, I'm probably wrong. It definitely. I mean, look, he's definitely branded it as a Midnight Mission. He's been painting moons around town, so it's something he would do. But I can understand why that was the thing that stood out as okay, that's a little bit much.
Look, Corey, if that is a little bit too much, I'd like to know
you said,
your
if that's the only criticism, that's still great.
Well, I'd like to know your thoughts on the Moon Knight costume in the TV show. That I mean, we talk about branding. There's moons everywhere. So
it's not tacky. It's not tacky.
Yeah, that's not tacky.
As far as we know, very classy.
Very classy. But thank you so much, Corey. Yeah, always love hearing from you, and thanks for popping in to watch the live stream. A short one here from Derek Scott Plummer. I thought it was really solid. I didn't see the twist coming, even though it seems obvious now. I didn't really, see it until he was talking to the house. Yeah. I kind of think it's funny Moon Knight has his own Encanto house now. I think it's awesome. And again, the main thing for me is that this is now added to his arsenal. It's fantastic. Yeah. Well, thank you, Derek.
And I've got Chad.
Mm-hmm.
Chad Jernigan. Not as action-packed as other installations, but this entry is pretty dope. I'd never heard of the House of Shadows. Pretty interesting. With Mooney's mind being guarded and now his place of business a living security system, I'd hate to be the unwise soul to come for Marc on his own holy ground. Oh yeah, this is quite the security system.
How about Black Cat? She tries to get in there, she's anyway.
Well, I'm sure Jed would love to show how that goes down. And now I see she's getting a new mini, so maybe unlikely because it's with Iron Man, but who knows.
True.
Rutherford being teased again and in such a polar light feels like another illusion from Jed. His connection to the Doc, her own possible betrayal, and this mysterious woman smothering. Keeps getting hinted at. Oh, good. It wasn't just me that picked up on that. Jed definitely has the cunning of a badass writer and loves to teabag readers with the depth of his research. Colors are still tops. Pencils really worked hard on the house. I'd give it an honest 7.5.
Oh, Same as us.
No, same as us, yeah.
Chad, you have a way with words, my friend.
Yeah, you really
love it.
do. I love it.
Quote, I'm going to use that. Loves to teabag readers. That's awesome.
I think the living security system is
Yes.
is personally my favorite there because it's like, can you imagine? I mean, I am really looking forward to the slapdown now.
Yeah, me too as well. I mean, this is them. It's just they're elevated to another level, this mission. So, also, we have one from Instagram, a regular follower, listener, SK Metal, writes in, really enjoyed this one. The resolution was fun and the supernatural element was a nice wink to issue 8. I prefer if the team continued this occult monster tangent, as 2, 8, and 9 are my favourite issues of this run now. Yeah, interesting.
It does feel like it's been something we've been kind of missing for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always on the edges of Moon Knight, but bringing it front and center feels like it's not happened for a while, and not this holistically. So yeah, I'm kind of enjoying it. It has a really different feel from other runs.
Yeah, and at the same time, it doesn't seem all that kind of foreign from Moon Knight as well. I mean, it fits. Like I said, it's always been there. I mean, like I've just been rereading the Lemire run, and there is supernatural there. You can't have like all this stuff going on, but there's something about being a street hero and who you usually get to fight, and I think giving us the vampires straight away, and then sort of segueing into some of this stuff. It still kind of kept it street but supernatural. I just really love the whole vibe. Yeah, me too. Couldn't agree more. And the last one, Rebecca, I think since it's a bit of a longer email, do you want to cut that up into 2? Do you want to do the first 2 paragraphs, and I'll...
Oh, I didn't even see. I thought you'd say, yes. Do you want me to? Sorry, did you want me to start with it?
Oh yeah, if you could, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is from Noel. I don't have his voice, unfortunately, but I will do.
Not many
do my
people
best.
do, Rebecca.
No, it's very restful. I'm loving MacKay digging into the more weird-ass, mystical shit side of the Moon Knight Marvel universe, since this seems to have more than a little bit of Doctor Strange hoo-ha in it. It's clear what Jed's other Marvel writing duties are right now. Yeah, some of my favorite comics in Moon Knight's history are the often overlooked mystical side to his story, and MacKay has been giving us more than a fair share of that lately. Something about this issue harkens back to stories like Sleep from the Ellis run. The way Marc starts the issue trying to solve a problem for someone in an abstract and ethereal way, but ends up punching someone, or in this case, threatening to blow the baddie up to end the story. It's very Moon Knight. I like that Marc, despite getting screwed over by Terry, still very much trusts not only his current supporting characters, but also people like Tigra, who may or may not end up pissing Marc off later on. It's good serialized storytelling in that way. A good B plot that comes back to become the good A plot.
Yeah, before I go on as well, just with that, Rebecca, you could easily also say that Marc's just setting himself up for disappointment as well. You know.
I mean, look, it could be going that way. Like we're all rooting for him, but there is an element that trusting a lot of new people very quickly may not turn out well.
May not be the best thing. Yeah, exactly. And Noel continues to just imagine his drapey voice. I was confused a bit with the timeline, considering I haven't seen much of the Moon Knight in Devil's Reign yet, but my mind filled in the blanks anyway. The art is on par with the run so far. Doesn't feel like a step up this time, but just as great as it has been. And of course, the colours are wonderful. The splash pages are incredible, though. Happy to be blessed with a couple of them. I won't get into much detail of the story or theories because I'm sure you guys will more than adequately cover everything. And I could possibly... Sorry, Noel. I won't get into much detail of the story or theories because I'm sure you guys will more than cover anything I could possibly bring up. You're smarter than I. No, not really. I'll just say it's a very fun and strong issue for me. 8.5. A big yellow duck. Quack quack.
Yes, I think we'll allow Noel to use the duck rating system.
Absolutely.
Especially when it gets into the yellow end of the scale. Go listen to his Howard the Duck podcast.
Absolutely. Trapped in a World is a fantastic, fun listen. Rebecca, Noel brings up some good points. I love the fact that, this point that despite being screwed over by Terry, one of his close associates. It turned out to be
Mm-hmm.
Zodiac of all people. Yeah, this trust factor that he still has. He wants
It's
to
really
help Reese.
interesting. He has
yeah.
faith. Like
He does,
he's a man
yep.
who says he doesn't have faith, who has faith, but he has faith in the people he brings into his circle.
Yeah. So, thank you so much, Noel, and don't be silly, you silly man.
Yeah, don't be silly. Just ignore the last of that bit.
Yeah. Exactly. But go listen to Noel, and I'm going to give a shout out to Trapped in a World, the Howard the Duck podcast. Very cool, very fun indeed. Well, Rebecca, that pretty much brings us to the end of this episode. All I can say, closing comments, is it is worth it for sure. Go hunt it down if you can. If you're just starting to follow Moon Knight and you've found this podcast and you want to get a sense of how the series is going, I'd say this, Rebecca, would be a good
I think it's a pretty good one to jump. Yeah,
good jumping on point. Gives you a sense of the character. But yeah, for sure, check out all the other
definitely
issues.
feels like the beginning of this pulling the team together to see what goes down with Zodiac. So
yeah, it's almost like a little pause between something big that's going to happen.
Which I mean, like, to be fair, we kind of need it because we've just had the Hunter's Moon issue, so we're now getting back to Marc. So that there would naturally be a pause, and this story works quite well because it's getting someone new. I'm going to refer to the house as someone. Getting someone new in the team, and Rutherford's also dropped in at the end there. So we're moving along.
We're chugging along. I mean, again, it's been, as far as we know, has been guaranteed up to issue 12. So we've got 3 issues at least.
Have you put out the interview? You put out the interview with him. I'm relatively sure that he said they were carrying on.
Oh, did he?
If anybody wants to go back and listen, because me and Ray were talking to him, and I'm like, like sometimes you mishear, but I'm relatively sure he said it's selling well enough that they're carrying on. So,
okay,
you can all come blame me if I've just got everyone's hopes up naturally, but I haven't had a chance to go back and listen to it yet. But I think he does say that it's going to continue. So.
At Arbitrary Genius on Twitter.
At Arbitrary Genius on Twitter. Send me all the abuse you want. I will ignore it all.
But yeah, okay, well, great. But so we've still got plenty to look forward to, and plenty more up ahead as well. Rebecca, before we go, and of course a huge thank you. I know you're super busy, but we've managed to do back-to-back episodes. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
But anything that you'd like to shout out on our spectacle?
No, I think again, DID Awareness Day on the 5th of March, and everyone
good call. Yeah.
See what's going on, get involved if there's any hashtags out there, and no, I've had quite a mild week apart from Midnight podcasts, so.
Good. Well, good, because it sounds like you're very busy otherwise. Yeah. Also, as well, as Rebecca mentioned last episode, you've registered. I've registered as well for the webinar, which has actually happened already. Yeah. So if anyone is curious, at least, you can either hit Rebecca or myself up, and we can let you know how the webinar went, or we can tell you what we've learned as well. So. Let's keep this awareness going. And as Rebecca said, 5th of March is the actual day, which is the Saturday, I think. It's a Saturday. It's a Saturday.
It's Saturday, yeah. Sorry, I'm away from home then, so I'm like a little bit all over the place by that.
Yeah. As for any little plugs that I want to kind of give a heads up to, just for the patronies of those of the relevant tiers, the March bonus episode will be out soon as well. I usually try to get it out mid-month. So for this month, Justin the Owl, the other Velvet Drape, Rebecca, the other sexy voice, he and I joined together to talk about the Bloodstone Hunt from the Captain America run. It's a lot of fun, and these bonus episodes give us the flex to just talk beyond Moon Knight and just things that we love. So if patronies, if you're interested, that's coming out in the middle of March. And incidentally, if anyone wants to become a patroni, of course, please check out patreon.com/ITK Moon Knight. Well, next phase, listeners, it's 270, and I must also as well, we didn't see it on the live stream, but when I do the actual podcast episode. A big thank you as well to Phil and Lilith from Capes and Lunatics for the opening stinger. Just wishing us well, Rebecca,
Nice.
in their inimitable way. So thank you to those two. But our next episode, 270, it will be another Moonshine, stuff you Khonshu. Who cares about the phases of the moon?
Yeah.
It will be our
We're
reaction.
taking over the moon.
We're
basically.
taking it over. It got
taking
blown
control.
up, didn't it? So,
Yeah. We're taking control. The moon is ours now.
Exactly.
We control.
And we'll be looking at on the show Devil's Reign Moon Knight 1, which comes out on the 9th of March. I think
Very
it came
special
out-
day.
Yes, a very special day for two people at least that I know. Well, not that I know of. I know one of them. So get your birthday wishes in to Rebecca.
Get your birthday wishes in for Devil's Reign Moon Knight for Oscar Isaac and me.
And Oscar Isaac. Yeah, Rebecca shares the same.
Birthday twins.
You should be. I want to see you in a white suit with a white mask, Rebecca.
Yeah, I'd like to see a white mask. Although I just saw that they're selling a Court of Owls graphic novel with the white mask.
Oh, get that.
Freaks me out. No, not. I'm really freaked out by the Court of Owls, so no. But if I wanted an easy white mask, yeah, a white suit. I don't think I own anything white, but I'll see what I can do for you.
A lot of bleach, Rebecca, and a bucket.
I'll
So you need- but we'll be covering Devil's Reign Moon Knight #1 by, of course, Jed MacKay, and I do remember he recalled Federico Sabatini will be doing the art. So get your orders in for that for sure. And this will be part 20 of our Devil's Reign crossover between Capes and Lunatics, Tomes of Evil and To Know Her Is to Fear Her, which we cover every single part of the Devil's Reign crossover.
Amazing.
All culminating in, we'll do a roundtable at the end. And of course, as mentioned, please check out Patreon page. Huge thank you to all our Patreon members: Daniel, Drew, Justin, Derek, Kyle, Frank, Wayne, Jordan, Josh, James, Anthony, Russell, Michael, Mario, Gavin, and Matthew as well. Big thank you, one and all.
Thank you all.
CLZ Comics, collectors.com. Go get your database sorted. Daniel doing his Fringe Night fantastic series based on Erie, Pennsylvania's very own mysterious superhero. Patreon.com/Fringe Night 27 is how you can support him. Drew Toombs with his immensely fantastic music, both on SoundCloud and Bandcamp, under Toombs and Lurk Music. So check out soundcloud.com/Toombs or lurkmusic.bandcamp.com. And finally, Dreamland Comics, use the code MOON and you get yourself 20% off their online store. And finally, Rebecca, I've got it. Actually, it's probably not worth. Shouldn't say not worth us getting it with postage, but please, US listeners, give it a go. 20% off. My God,
Yeah, that's good.
don't be daft. And finally, we are part of the collective as well. So Rebecca's fantastic podcast, DCAU, Sons of the Dragon, and Immortal Iron Fist podcast, and I'll put in Happiness in Darkness, a superhero comic movie podcast.
Nice.
And finally, you can reach us anywhere. Email feedback@itkmoonnight.com. We've got a website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Discord, Get Vocal, and Podchaser. And any reviews, please. I would love any would be cool. Help us improve the show or help us get out there a bit more. So with that, Rebecca, thank you once again.
Thank you. And we'll speak next week.
Yes, absolutely. Well, hopefully. We'll see how we go. But as always, may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Bye.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.
Hey everyone, this is Brian, the host of Inner Demons, the Ghost Rider podcast. And since 2017, Inner Demons has been the best place on the web for news, reviews, and regular discussion with our listeners about Marvel's Spirit of Vengeance, Ghost Rider. You can find us on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and many other podcast catchers, as well as on Twitter @InnerDemonsGR. Remember, listening to your inner demons is not always a bad thing. Ride on.